Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling the idea of confidence and finding your voice.
Such a cool topic.
I know, right? And I think it's something that we can all relate to.
Definitely. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, like how we envision our dream jobs. And I think a lot of us think of them as the ultimate goal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, once I get that dream job, I've made it.
Right. But it doesn't always turn out how we expect.
You're telling me.
Well, actually, we're going to be exploring a story about someone whose dream job was being an MTV presenter.
Wait, MTV, like the music television channel?
That's the one. And they
Right.
got this job when they were only 21.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I know. But then just a year later, the channel shut down.
Oh no, that's awful.
It is, and it really highlights that need for adaptability, especially in fields like media, which are constantly changing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, imagine pouring your heart and soul into something and then having it suddenly disappear.
It's got to be such a tough experience, and I think it shows how we often view goals as finish lines.
Like, I did it, I'm done.
Exactly, when actually they're more like checkpoints.
Oh, I like that. Checkpoints on a much longer journey.
Yes, and that journey can take you in unexpected directions.
For sure. Like, think about your own life. How many times have your goals changed over time?
Oh, all the time. I'm always evolving, and my goals evolve with me.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like, as you gain new experiences and perspectives, it's only natural that what you want out of life shifts too.
Definitely, and it shouldn't discourage us. It's all part of the process, right?
Right. So after this person's dream job kind of went up in smoke, what did they do?
So they showed some serious resilience and didn't give up. Like, they still wanted to be in the media industry.
Okay.
So they were super strategic about it and found ways to stay connected to the industry.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. And you know what they even did?
Yeah.
They took a job as an ad scheduler.
An ad scheduler.
Yeah. But it was all about being in the right environment.
It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like surrounding yourself with those industry professionals and, just constantly putting themselves out there.
Networking.
Exactly. And it paid off. I mean, they ended up landing an internship because they emailed this producer for months.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, good for them. What a good lesson.
Persistence.
Yeah.
It's so important, but of course you got to do it the right way. You got to be respectful.
Oh, for sure. You can't be pushy.
Right. But yeah, they were persistent and it got them where they wanted to be, which is amazing, right?
I know. And it makes you think about those times when you've had to push for something you really wanted.
Like when you really had to advocate for yourself.
Yes, and you thought it might not work out.
Totally. But then when it did, it was like the best feeling ever.
Oh, totally. Okay, so this person is clearly driven.
They are. And they're a big believer in something pretty interesting.
What's that?
Visualization and manifestation.
Oh, wow. Okay. Tell me more.
So picture this. They're unemployed back in the UK, but they had this really clear vision of themselves working as a presenter for Channel 4 Dubai.
No way.
Yes. And what's crazy is that a few years later, it actually happened.
What?
Yeah. They ended up hosting the breakfast show there.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild. I mean, that's the power of having a vision, I guess.
Right. Like believing in yourself even when it feels impossible.
Seriously. It's amazing. It makes you wonder, like, what if we're all visualizing things without even realizing it, and then they happen?
Ooh, it's like, do we have more control over our lives than we think?
Exactly. Have you ever actively tried visualization?
Yeah, actually I have, and I think it's something everyone should explore, See what happens.
I might have to try it.
You should. But anyway, so after 5 years at Channel 4, this person met a huge change.
Another one. I mean, they were doing so well. What happened?
Yeah, they were. But they decided to leave and start their own business. To become an entrepreneur.
Wow. That's brave. Were they unhappy at Channel 4?
Not really. It's more that they wanted to keep growing. And so they had to ask themselves this very important question. Which fear do I choose?
Which fear do I choose? That's interesting.
Right. And for them, the fear of staying in the same place, the fear of not growing, was bigger than the fear of, not having financial security.
So they chose the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, basically. And I
Yeah.
think it's such a good way to look at big decisions.
It's like choosing your adventure. Like, which path is going to teach you more, even if it's scary.
Exactly. It's about knowing what's really important to you and then aligning your choices with those values, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely. Stepping outside your comfort zone. So important. So for everyone listening, I think a big question is this. What advice does this person have about finding your voice and building confidence?
Well, a big one for them is listening to your intuition and, the signals your body sends you.
What do you mean by that?
So they have this 5-second rule. Like if they get a gut feeling about something, they hold on to it for 5 seconds before their mind starts overthinking things.
Oh, that good.
Yeah, it's like giving your intuition space to speak.
It's got to be so easy to just let your doubts take over.
Totally. But this way, they're tapping into that inner wisdom.
Interesting.
They also talk about paying attention to physical cues, like for them, neck pain is a sign of stress or misalignment.
Like your body's trying to tell you something.
Exactly. And I think it all ties into this idea of finding your voice.
Finding your voice. That's a powerful idea. So what does that actually mean, finding your voice?
Well, they have this cool concept called the voice layer theory, but I think we should take a quick break and we'll dive into that when we come back. So the voice layer theory, it's kind of fascinating, actually.
Absolutely on me.
So it's basically the idea that all of us, from when we're born, our voices, like who we are, is shaped by all these outside influences.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Right. So it starts with our families, obviously.
Of course.
Then it's teachers, friends, even just like the stuff we see in the media.
Total.
And over time, all those voices kind of build up,
Like layers.
Exactly. Layers and layers of voices. And it gets hard to tell what's actually ours and what we've just kind of absorbed from everyone else.
Wow.
Like we end up wearing all these masks and we forget what our real face looks like underneath.
It's a really good analogy.
Thanks. So the question then becomes, how do we peel back those layers? How do we find our own authentic voice?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. How do we do it?
Well, they suggest a 3-step process.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, you got to isolate your own voice. Take a break from all that outside noise.
Social media detox.
Exactly. Limit how much you're consuming other people's opinions and just spend time with yourself.
So you can actually hear your own thoughts.
Yes. It's like hitting the reset button.
I love that. Reset button. What's the next step?
Okay, so step 2 is you got to look at the people in your inner circle, the people you're closest to.
Yeah. And think about how they influence you.
Because we become who we surround ourselves with.
Exactly. So, are these people supportive? Do they lift you up? Or do they constantly challenge you in a negative way?
That's deep. You really have to pay attention to the energy you allow in your life.
You do. It can make a huge difference in how you see yourself.
Okay, I'm taking notes. So isolate your voice, evaluate your inner circle. What's the third step?
Rebuild your circle. Surround yourself with the people who bring out the best in you, who encourage your true voice.
Now find your tribe, the people who get you.
Yeah. The ones who make you feel seen and heard for who you truly are. Like you're creating this positive feedback loop, amplifying your own authentic voice.
Oh, I like that a lot. It all sounds so good in theory, but what about in practice? How do you actually start expressing yourself more confidently?
It's tough. And they talk about this struggle too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the balance between being kind and being assertive.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Right, they always got told to be nicer if they wanted people to like them.
And I bet that led to them feeling overlooked or like their opinions didn't matter as much.
Exactly. And I think it's something that women especially struggle with,
Oh, 100%. We're often taught to be accommodating and not rock the boat.
Right. But then it comes at the expense of our own needs sometimes.
So true.
And they had this moment, I think it was with their hairdresser, who basically told them, you got to be a bit of a,
A bit of a what?
well, let's just say a bit tougher. And it was like a wake-up call.
Because people were taking advantage of their kindness?
Kind of. It's like being assertive often gets seen as a bad thing, especially for women.
Oh, yeah. Like we're bossy or difficult.
Exactly. When really assertiveness is just about clear communication and setting healthy boundaries.
It's about knowing your worth.
Yes. And treating your words with value. It's not about being mean.
Right. It's about respecting yourself and making sure others do too.
Exactly. And I think it all goes back to that voice layer theory. The more we connect with our true selves, the more confident we become in expressing our needs and setting those boundaries.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
So what about those of us who, we know all this in theory, but we're still struggling with self-doubt or imposter syndrome?
Oh, I feel that. But they have this really cool technique that I think could help.
Tell me.
They have this thing called a wins album.
A wins album.
Yeah, so whenever they accomplish something, big or small, they take a picture of it and put it in this album.
It's like a visual record of all the cool things they've done.
Exactly. And then when they're feeling down or doubting themselves, they can look through and be like, wait a minute, I did all that.
It's like proof that you're capable.
Yeah, it's a great way to combat those negative thoughts.
That is such a good idea. So simple, but so powerful.
Right. And it doesn't have to be an actual photo album. You could just have a list or a spreadsheet, whatever works for you.
Whatever helps you celebrate those wins.
Exactly.
So as we kind of wrap up this part of the conversation, what are some like final thoughts on this whole idea of confidence and finding your voice?
Well, one big thing they emphasize is that confidence comes in lots of different forms.
Like it's not one size fits all?
Not at all. Like they say they feel most confident when they're in their introverted mode, which is interesting.
Ooh, that is interesting. Because a lot of people think confidence is all about being loud and outgoing.
Right. But for them, it's more about feeling comfortable in their own skin, expressing their ideas thoughtfully, and connecting with people on a deeper level.
So it's not about fitting into some mold of what confidence should look like.
Exactly. It's about owning your own unique style, expressing yourself in a way that feels genuine to you.
Yeah, regardless of what society might tell you.
Totally. And I think that's a really powerful message for everyone.
It is. And it's been such an amazing conversation. It's clear that finding your voice, it's not a one-time thing, it's a journey, right?
Oh, definitely. It takes self-awareness and courage. It's about pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Totally. You got to be willing to get a little uncomfortable.
You do. It's about constantly questioning, like peeling back those layers of influence and really getting to know yourself, and then having the guts to be who you are.
Yes. And I think it's so important to remember that it's a process.
It is. It takes time. Be patient with yourself.
Embrace the journey.
Yes. And celebrate every little victory along the way.
Love that. So before we wrap up this deep dive, I have a question for our listeners.
Oh, I like where this is going.
What is one tiny thing you can do today to start moving toward finding and expressing your true voice?
Such a good question.
Like maybe it's starting that wins journal
Ooh, that's a good one.
or having an honest conversation with someone in your inner circle about how they make you feel.
Yeah, like if their energy is really bringing you down, maybe it's time to reevaluate that relationship.
Exactly. Or hey, maybe it's even simpler than that. Like what if you just sat in silence for 5 minutes and really just listened to your own thoughts?
There you go. It's about being intentional.
Intentional, I love that. Because it doesn't have to be some huge dramatic gesture, right?
Yeah.
It's the little things done consistently that add up to big change.
So true. Consistency is key.
It is. And as you start taking those steps, towards your true self, just remember one thing.
What's that?
You are not alone.
Ah, I love that. We're all in this together.
We are. We all have a unique voice, and the world needs to hear it.
Preach. Let your light shine, everyone.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep letting your voice shine through. Until next time.